Hello YouTube, my name is Sebastian and welcome to another video tutorial on Game Maker, and today we're going to continue our top-down shooter tutorial. Last time we did collisions, this time we're going to do some actually shooting. So we have the top-down part, now we just need the shooting, and then we're pretty much done with the whole game. Nah, we need to do some enemies later on as well, but today we're just going to do the shooting. First of all, our code is a bit messy, I think. It's very hard to keep track of. So, what we want to do is we want to create some scripts for all of this code instead. Because scripts are very neat. You can basically put code into them, and then you can access that code from any instance or any object. So let's create a new script first of all. It's over here by the scripts. So, and let's call this one let's call it player. I don't use prefixes for my scripts. Some use SCR as a prefix. I just use underscores in my scripts because I like scripts to be like these point direction things. Yeah. Okay, never mind. Let's do the script. Actually, first of all, we're gonna do a get inputs script. There we go. And this script, we're just gonna take all of this code and cut it out, put it in here. So this is gonna be a get inputs. So instead of having, let's just see if it's saved, because yeah, it's saved. So instead of having all this stuff written here, we can just write get inputs with these two parentheses behind it, and this will actually be exactly the same as just writing these 4 lines in here. So this just compromises the code a lot, and it makes it more easier to gauge all the code. And in here as well, we can just delete this and write get inputs, the create event. Next, we want to have a move script. No, actually, let's just call it move player, because this is unique to the player. The only one that we want to use this script is basically the player. So we are just going to cut all of this out, put it into the script here, and then instead of movement or all of that, we're just going to write move player parentheses like that. And that's it. Now we got all that code that filled a ton before. We have it in here in these lines here. So we have move player. We can open that by clicking the middle mouse button. That's how you move that, and also you can drag around by clicking that, if you didn't know that. Then we have all of this stuff in here. It's going to be exactly the same. The inputs we have, so if we have a lot of stuff code later, it's a lot easier to organize it like this. Then the end step, we want to have a new one. We're just going to call this collision, and inside of here we are just going to do all of this. Now this one is actually going to be a bit fun, or different, not fun, different, because we actually want, instead of having a wall here, we want to have the ability to actually put in whatever object that we want to check for. So what we want to do is we want to have 3 parentheses and an @ symbol, and then we're going to write arg for argument, and then we're going to have collision object. There we go, collision object. And then what we're going to do is we're going to have a local variable. We're going to call it O for object, and that'll equal argument 0. So what this does is essentially the same as using any of the built-in scripts or functions. Actually, with this one, it takes 3 arguments: the x, the y, and the object to check for. Now this script here, if we call collision, we'll take the collision object. It needs 1 argument to work, so here we can write O wall. And then what we want to do, instead of writing O wall here, we just want to write O instead of these 2. So now whatever we pass into this we can write O wall, then our O argument will be the first argument, which is O wall. And then we'll check for O, which is a wall. So that should be all nice and dandy. Let's just check it. Sorry guys. So as you can see, everything is still working, but the code is now a lot easier to digest. So the next thing we actually I forgot to do something last time in the collision event. What we want to do is we should probably do velocity at x equals round. We want to round the value off so that we always, actually we want to floor it off. We're going to use floor, and what this does, it basically makes sure that our velocity, if it's 3.1, let's say 2.1. No, actually we don't want to use that. Yeah, we can use that. So if it's like 2.1 or anything, no, we don't want to do it like that. Sorry. We want to right in here. We want to floor the value right in here. We want to floor it to make sure that we only. There we go. So what it does is it basically takes if you have any digits after your number, it's going to cut them away to the lowest number possible. So if it's 4.9, it'll go to 4. 4.1, it'll go to 4. 3.9 to 3. 3.7 to 3, and so far. We can also use seal if you want to use that instead. That'll do the opposite. It's going to be like seal like that, which will basically just make them the max number. So if it's 4.1, it'll go to 5. But we're going to use the floor here. Just remember to do that, because that makes sure that we won't move half pixels, and because that looks really quite stupid. We're going to fix this. We're going to do a bit more expanding on the collision later, but I don't want to do that now. Now we just want to make the game, because we have used a lot of time on this. So we want to create a new script, and we're going to do player. Yeah, let's just call it player shoot. There we go. Then we're gonna have a shooting thing in here, and we're gonna call player shoot. So what we want to do inside of this right here, first of all, we need to open the inputs script, because we can well, right now we're only checking for right, left, up and down. We also want to check for shoot, and actually what we want to do is we want to check for shoot start, and then we want to check for shoot end, because we want to check. This allows us to actually make some difference between full automatic weapons and single shot weapons. So we can actually use, like, some weapons can be single fire and you have to tap them, and some can be full automatic and you can hold the trigger down. So we are going to use these, but right now shoot start, that'll be mouse, no, how's that, mouse, I can't remember the function. Yeah, mouse check button, and then we're gonna mouse button, MB for mouse button, and it's gonna be the left one. Mouse check button actually pressed. So this will check if we are pressing the button, or if we have pressed it, then this is gonna be true. Then this one is gonna be released. So this one will check whether or not we have released the button. Then what we want to do is we want to have in here, we want to have shooting variables right here, and then we want to have a variable called is shooting, and that will be equal to false because we're not shooting at the moment. So what we want to do is, now we have that, we can check if we've started shooting, and if we have, or if we have released the shooting button. So what we want to do is, first of all, we want to do an if statement, and in here, remember this is in the code here, so it's just putting it behind the get inputs here. So if shoot start is true, we can write it like that. If shoot start is true, then is shooting equals true. And then right here, actually, yeah, right here, if shoot, we didn't write it like that. Why did I write it like that? I never do that. Shoot start, what the hell, start like that, and end. That's how we should write it. Start and shoot end. So if shoot end, then we want to have if is shooting equals to false. And then inside of here we can do all our shooting code. So actually we need another variable in here. We need our, like, the time that it'll take between each shot. So let's just call it fire rate, like that, fire rate, and let's equal that to room speed divided by 2. So room speed, that'll always be 1 second. So right now we'll shoot a shot every half second, because we're going to divide 1 second with 2. So, and then we also want to put another one in. We want to have can shoot like this equals to true. So this will check whether or not we can shoot. Then we want to add an alarm event, and I'm going to explain what that is. And in here we'll set can shoot equals to true. So what the alarm event is, you can set, they are an alarm basically. You can set the alarm to be any timer that you want, and then when it hits 0, the alarm is going to go off and run whatever code is inside of it. So what we want to do is, we want to shoot a bullet out, then we want to set the alarm, and then what we want to do is we want to make sure that we cannot shoot anymore until the alarm turns on the can shoot variable. So what we're going to do is, in here, if is shooting like this, so if we are shooting, then we're going to have an if statement, if can shoot. Then we want to run some code inside of here. So first we're going to check, are we shooting? Is it actually true? If it is, then we check, so if we've pressed the button, then we're going to check, can we actually shoot? If we can do that, then we want to create a bullet, and we want to make sure that we cannot shoot. So can shoot equals false, and then we're going to have alarm 0, that'll be equal to our fire rate. Cool. Now we need to create the bullet, so we're going to use the function here called instance create layer, and we have gotten no instance right now. We don't have a bullet. We need to make an object bullet in order for this to work. So let's just create a new sprite real quick. Let's resize it to 8x8, and I guess we'll just make like a, I don't know. This is going to be the bullet. Very ugly color. We're going to use this one instead. It's just a bit more soothing. Actually, let's just use this orange color. Really ugly, doesn't matter. Let's just put in the middle center. These are just placeholders. We're going to update them later. We're going to create an object called oBullet. We're going to take the sprite, use it in here. Right now we're not going to code anything in it, because we're just going to create it. So X, we're going to create it on our X position, and our Y position, and the layer name. We're not going to put anything in yet. We're just going to go bullet. There we go. So what we want to do is we want to go into the room right here, and then over here the layers, we're going to create a new instance layer, and we're going to call this bullet layer. I like to name it like this, with the layer as a suffix. So we're going to create one of the bullet layer, because then we can make sure, like what I like to do when I create my games, I like to have all instances at one layer, like players and enemies. The player is always going to be on top of the enemy, so you can always see yourself. That's important. And then the enemies below the player, and then all of the bullets will be at the very top, because we always want to make sure that we can see the bullets. We don't want them to be hiding underneath anything. So right now it should work actually. So let's try and do this. So as you can see, we're creating bullets that are doing nothing right now, and it'll just keep creating them every half second, which is really nice. So we have that going. Right now we just want to make them move towards the mouse, the cursor. So in here we're going to have a variable, and it's going to be called direction, and it's going to be equal to point direction from our X and our Y coordinate towards the mouse X and the mouse Y. So we're going to do this is basically the same as we did when moving. This one, point direction for facing, it's going to be the same. Then what we're going to do is we're actually going to call a variable more, and it's going to be called bullet, and then we're going to equal that to instance create. And the thing is, with this instance create layer, every object in your game has a unique ID to it, and when you call this instance create layer function, it actually returns the ID of this bullet or the object that you create. So what you can do while creating the object bullet, we are assigning the ID of the bullet in this variable called bullet, so that we can later access this bullet value to, variable to change parameters inside of the bullet that we just created. So now we want to have in here, in the bullet, we want to have a create event. We want to have a speed. Let's set it equal to, say, 10 for an example. Let's just do 10. Then we're going to have a direction. Let's just set that to 0. And then we also need a damage. Let's just put it to 1. We don't need the damage right now, but let's just have it there for now. So now we can do bullet, and then we can add dot direction equals direction, like that. So what this will do is we'll take the bullet, and by putting a dot right here, we are accessing inside of this object. So the bullet that we created, we're accessing the direction function right here, this one, dir, and then we're setting it equal to the direction that we had up here. It's going to make sense. So you can also do the same if we have like the controller. We can use this right here to do some stuff with the player. So if we go into the controller for an example, we could change the O player dot speed in here. We could set it to 4, and then when this controller runs its create event, it'll set the O player's speed to 4. So that's a really neat way of accessing other objects' codes without using global variables. So then we're going to add a step event into the bullet, and then we want to make it move. So the X will plus equals length dir X, and we want to put the length of speed inside of it in a direction that we want, that we had before, and the Y will be plus equals length dir Y at the speed and the direction that we have given it. That's easy. Now the bullet should move. Now we want to make sure if it goes outside the room, we want to destroy it, because if it's outside the room, we don't need it anymore, and we can't even see it, but it's still going to take up memory. So we're going to have another event and go to other outside room, and then call the instance destroy function, which will just destroy itself. Then what we want to do is we also want to make sure if the bullet, if it hits a wall, that we want to delete it as well. So what we want to do is we want to have a collision event right here with the wall, and in here we want to call instance destroy. There we go. So now it should work. We should have bullets. They should be flying around and destroying themselves. So we can shoot a bullet flying out, and when it hits the wall, it's gonna be destroyed. There we go. Pretty neat. And it'll always aim towards the mouse. We can always change the what is it called, the fire rate, so we can put it up to like something like 10 instead maybe, and we'll fire 5 times as many bullets as we did before in the same amount of time. So now we have a rapid firing machine gun, and that's pretty neat. So now we need some enemies in this, and we're going to do that in the next video. We are also going to do we're actually not completely done with this, but we are also going to do a wait, what the hell? Why am I still moving? Why is she still moving? There's a bug in our code. Okay. We need to fix that before we end this episode. That's really weird. I don't know why that happens. But, what I was about to say before. Right now the bullets are spawning inside of the player. We wanted to spawn right at the edge of the gun. And we also want to make, later on in another video, we're going to do like a weapon system so that you can get different weapons and switch through them and stuff like that. But that's going to be another tutorial. Right now we want to fix that movement thing. Move player. So if you open up here, I think it has something to do with this. No? It just doesn't make sense. If we're pressing right or left, then we're going to move. If we're not, then we're going to move our velocity towards 0 by a friction. What the hell? What the hell? Okay, let's do the bullet thing first, because I don't know what about this. Let's do the player shoot in here. So instead of having the X, we actually want to do the X plus length, the X, and in here we're going to have the direction of the, and the length, yeah, we're going to use the length that we want to add here is basically going to be the amount of pixels that are from the center out to the edge of the gun, which is 1, 2, or we can calculate that's 8 pixels. Pretty sure. Or maybe it's only 7, because yeah, it's only 7. 7 pixels out. So this is really weird for me. There we go. 7. There we go. And we want to do the same to the Y coordinate. So what this will do is basically just make sure that they spawn at the end of the gun. Just this right here. But right now I'm really weirded out. Why the hell is this happening? Is there something that we didn't account for? Let's just quickly look in the draw event over here. We're drawing our velocities out. So what's weird to me is that we're moving. Maybe it's the floor value right here that's fucking it up. Let's just try and remove that. And then let's see what happens. Because it's really weird. Yeah. That floor value fucked it up somehow. I don't know. But as you can see now, the bullets just spawn at the edge of the gun. We could give it a bit more length to be more on the edge, but I don't know. Remove that floor value. Doesn't matter about that. Fuck that shit. Okay. Apparently that fucks it up. Let's just take a look at why. Let's get smarter. If we just right floor here and middle mouse click it, we're gonna open the manual so we can see what it actually does. So this is how you open the manual. If you're ever wondering how to do anything or what a function does, in here you can find all functions there is in the game, and you get whatever, like they give you the description of what it does, everything. So yeah, this is great. It says what arguments. If you don't know what the argument you should put in, it says right here. It says whatever it returns. A real, that just means it returns a number. It puts an example in for all of the different things. So like this one, if you go to isArray and display, we have an example. We have all this different stuff. But I couldn't really find anything particularly useful about the floor thing. So I wonder what happens if we use draw text here. Just to actually, instead let's just let's just do draw text at 10, 50, string, and then we're just gonna have floor the value of -3 and see what that gives us. Because I am suspicious. I think that this won't. That gives us -3. I don't know what happened, but it happened. But that's been it for this time. That's we fixed it. It works now. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and hope you learned something. So now we can shoot, we can move with collisions. We need enemies next. We need to do a bit more collision work or movement work, because I like the movement to be really the best movement that you can get. So we want to do some really tweak it a little bit later. It's not a lot of stuff to do. We're going to do that in the next video, where we're also going to create some enemies and make them killable, and actually also let them damage the player. So I really hope you enjoyed this. That's all for this time. Subscribe to get notified about the next video. That's been all. See you later. Goodbye.